Welcome to JavaScript Simplified. Now, most likely you're here to either learn JavaScript completely from scratch or to improve upon the JavaScript skills you already have, filling in any holes that were left behind, and most importantly, learning how to actually think as a developer and connect all the pieces of JavaScript together to make writing programs easier. Because most likely when you look at this, a completely blank text editor, you're most likely filled with dread and fear, not knowing where to start, not knowing how to connect the dots, and not knowing what you need to do in order to build the product that's stuck in your mind. So with this course, I'm going to lay out everything that I know about JavaScript, not only things such as how the language works and different language features, but most importantly, how I think about creating programs, how other developers think about creating programs, and how to connect all these different pieces together in order to make sure that you can build programs yourself with JavaScript. Now, in order to accomplish this goal, this course is broken into about 3 different sections. The first section is the section you're in currently, which is all about the mindset that you need to be in order to start learning and improving your JavaScript skills, and also how to get set up with your own development environment in order to be the most productive as possible. This is luckily a very quick section, so it doesn't take very long to get through, but it's arguably one of the most important in the entire course because it really helps you get the mindset you need in order to become a successful JavaScript developer. So I highly recommend that you don't skip any of these introduction videos, even if they seem pointless and you want to jump straight into JavaScript. Doing so is only going to make it take longer for you to learn JavaScript, so I highly recommend you watch through all these introductory videos. Now, the second section of this course is going to cover all of the basic information you need to know about JavaScript in order to start building your very first few projects. So unfortunately, in these first few sections, there are very few projects because you kind of have to get a certain level of knowledge until you can start building fully fledged applications. But there's tons of exercises in these sections to help you practice your skills, which at least make it a little bit interesting to learn. And I know you probably want to immediately start building projects, so you may be tempted to jump forward in the course to these project sections. But again, please don't do that. Unless you already very strongly understand these concepts, I highly recommend you go through the videos because even though some of these concepts may seem very trivial and easy to you, I assure you that there are certain things about these different concepts you don't fully understand, which are part of the things that are holding you back from really realizing your full potential as a JavaScript developer. So I highly recommend you watch through them just to get those small pieces of information that are crucial to your learning and development as a JavaScript developer, because if you miss those, it's going to make the rest of the course much harder. And again, there's tons of exercises inside of that section of the course that are going to make it more interesting and interactive to go through. Finally, there's the last section of the course, which isn't necessarily more advanced. It just builds upon a lot of the very base foundation concepts that you need, and also starts incorporating tons of projects since you finally have the correct level of knowledge in order to start building meaningful applications. So there's tons of projects and exercises inside of this section, and all of these projects and exercises are geared towards building you up and making you the best developer possible. This essentially works in a 3-step process. In the first step, I'm going to show you how a concept works, talk all about it, all the ins and outs and everything you need to know about that concept, as well as showing you some really small demos of how it works, just to really help you conceptualize that concept. I'm going to do that for a few different topics that are all interrelated to one another, and then I'm going to throw into some kind of larger demonstration of how all these different concepts work together. Most likely, this is going to be in the form of a project as you get to the later half of the course, but in the earlier halves of the course, it's just going to be smaller demonstrations as opposed to full-on projects. Then finally, the most important step is going to be the third step, and this is where you actually take these things that you've learned and do different exercises and projects that I tell you to do based on the different concepts we've worked on. So if we have a group of 5 different concepts we recently learned, I'll show you how to do them inside of a project, and then I'm going to give you a project to build with all of those different concepts in mind. And most importantly, the thing that's different about this course than any other course is the way these projects and exercises are set up. Instead of just saying, okay, you learned these things, go find something to build, or just, hey, go build this to-do app, I'm going to give you step-by-step instructions on exactly what to build, how to build it, and the mindset you need to put yourself in order to be effective when you build this. And slowly, as you start to learn how to build up that JavaScript developer mindset, we're going to remove some of those guardrails, some of those helpers and hints that I give you, until eventually by the end of this course, I can just tell you, hey, build a to-do app, and you know how to build it from front to end, no problem, no help needed. The reason this is so important is because most developers that take a course, they learn how to build the projects inside the course. Even if it's a really big and cool project like a Netflix clone, for example, they learn how to build that Netflix clone, But then they're like, okay, cool, I learned this. It took me 40 hours. I learned how to build this Netflix clone. Now I want to go build my own project, my own passion. And once you get to that blank text editor, you don't know where to start. That is the thing that this course is going to teach you through this 3-step learning process. And that is all I have to say about this introductory video. But before you go, I want to say a huge thank you for supporting me by buying this course. It really means a lot. And I hope that by the end of this course, you're going to be able to say that you are a JavaScript developer and that you no longer fear looking at a blank text editor because you now have the mindset of a JavaScript developer.